Everybody, welcome back. It's Caleb here. Today we got pairs versus ipairs. So let's get right into it. So yesterday I was talking about how when you use the built-in function get children, it gives you an array. And I said, oh yeah, and you can loop through that. So pairs or ipairs, excuse me, is actually one of the ways to loop through that. So to loop through something, obviously, for loop. You guys remember this for loop? If I say for I is equal to something, do so I starts at 1, stops at 5, goes up by 1. Remember that little imaginary 1 there? That's just like the basic set. So now if I actually wanted to loop through a table or a dictionary, I would use something it's called pairs. So let's make a little table. I'll make an array first. So my array, actually I'll just call this my table. So we'll give it hello, hi, hey, and bye. So I forgot to put commas. That's why it's giving me an issue. So if we actually wanted to loop through this array now, we do something called pairs. So we'll say, so this syntax is a little different. I'm gonna write it out and then I'm gonna explain it. So for index, and then we'll say these are strings, so we'll say string in ipairs of my table do. Okay, so this might look a little confusing, but let me break this down. So first off, when you're using an array, meaning an array like this, not one with a key and a value, you use ipairs. That I stands for index pairs. So that's why I wrote index here, just to make it clear. So once it starts looping through this, and I print out the index and the string associated, this should print out the index is 1 of hello, and then the actual string itself, or the value, is, well, hello. And then it'll go through hi, hey, bye. And then this right here obviously is the name of our table. So if I go ahead and I'll print index and I'll print the string. So, and I'm going to print out this so we can see it between each one. So once this loops through, it should print out the index and then the thing at that value. So as we go through my table, which is this, it should print out 1 and then hello, 2 then hi, 3 then hey, 4 and bye. These are all the strings. I just made them up. I couldn't really think of anything else, but we'll go ahead. So first spot 1, hello, 2, hi, 3, hey, 4, bye. So that's ipairs. So ipairs actually goes through an array, and then it allows you to go through it and print out whatever and use the values. Another thing I'm going to teach you is called an anonymous placeholder, anonymous value. Simply, if you see like this, sometimes someone just puts an underscore there. That means that you just can't get the value. I always put something here, like I always put index and I always put the index and string, but more than likely, if you're going through an array, you just want the actual stuff within it. So some people just go like this, so they're just worried about the value itself. You can do it either way. If you want the index but you don't want the value, you can do it like that as well. Doesn't matter. But just remember this, I pairs means index pairs, and the only table that you have indexes for is your basic table and array. So that's I pairs. And then now I'm going to go over pairs, which is the exact same thing, but now this is for dictionaries. So if I make a dictionary, I'm going to use that menu like I did last time, my menu. So we'll say burger, and we'll give it $15, I think it was. Hot dog, we gave it $10. Taco, $7. So the syntax for this is very, very similar. So we'll say for, and then we'll say item, and then price in pairs of my menu, and then enter do. Okay, so very similar. So now this one is just pairs. The reason this one is pairs and not I pairs is because the indices have names. So now we're just going in, like, think of these as a pair, okay? the item now, instead of being the index, it's the key value. So the first one will be burger, and the price, well, that's the value itself, which in this case it's 15. So that's like how I think about it. Like I remember when I first started learning pairs and ipairs, I'm like, man, I'm never gonna know the difference. But just think of ipairs as index pairs, meaning that there's no set index, there's only values. In this case, we made the index or the key, and then we're giving it a value. And like I said before, you can do the anonymous. If you just want the value, you can do that. If you just want the price, vice versa. I think you guys know what I'm going to do. But now if I go ahead, we'll print item, and then I'm going to print price. I'm just going to print this so you guys can see a little bit better. You know, I just do this. I'm sure you can do like \n or something for spacing, but this is easier. So same syntax. Key, value, pairs, instead of ipairs now because you have a dictionary. And then the name of your dictionary, table, array, whatever you want to call it. Well, dictionary or table. So if I go ahead and I run this now, I got burger and its price 15, taco 7, hot dog 10. So, and also too, the thing with pairs as opposed to ipairs, the order can be in any order because usually when you're running through pairs of a dictionary, the order really doesn't matter. Ipairs it does. Well, the function ipairs puts it in the order that you have it. Pairs doesn't matter because more than likely when you're writing the dictionary, the order doesn't matter. Um, I'm going to use an example from yesterday and then we're going to wrap up this video. So yesterday I was talking about the workspace. So I'll say workspace children, if I can type, is equal to game get service workspace. We'll do get children. Remember that from yesterday? So now if I actually wanted to go through and print out the children, so remember get children saves it as an array. So index pairs array. So we'll say for, I'll print out the index, and then we'll say child. I'm just writing child because it's going to print out some of these. Let me stop this actually. In ipairs of workspace children, we're just going to print the child. Index doesn't matter. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to put the child. I'm going to do this for formatting sake. And you can see terrain, spawn location, base plate, or a part base plate camera. Like I said, remember when you use the get children built-in function, it's whatever loads in first. So in this case now, whenever we call this, we know that terrain will be first, spawn location, part, base plate, camera, etc. And then I noticed this yesterday when I rewatched the video. You're like, oh, what happened with this? He's in the workspace as well. That's my character. He hasn't loaded in yet when I call the script. So that's why we would use like wait for children. So if I wanted to wait for my character to get into the workspace, that's when I would use a wait for child. Because the character obviously loads in after like this main stuff right here. So that's ipairs versus pairs. Let me know if it doesn't make sense. You know, I'm always open. Shoot a comment. But until next time, I'll see what I'm doing for the next video. I'm not too sure yet. I'll figure it out. But until then, have a good one. Make sure you like and subscribe, and then join our Discord server if you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns, and tutoring. I'll see you around.